the expansion of broadband in the state of Texas. And we are so honored to have you back, and it's fitting that you would come back to Hampshire Gwinnett Elementary School after the work that's been done in just a year. And so what's exciting is what's going to happen in the years to come, Governor Abbott. And so we welcome you back, we welcome our guests, and we look forward to seeing what's going to happen in Texas with broadband. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Todd Baxter. I'm Group Vice President for Charter Communications and a member of Connect the Future Texas, also known as CTF. CTF is a broad-based coalition of entities and companies across the state that have prioritized broadband. And CTF has members from the business and economic development community, education, of course, broadband providers, rural broadband advocates, law enforcement, agricultural interests, the list go on and on. It's an incredible organization. And we do have some folks from CTF today that I wanted to recognize. We've got Robert Scott and Danny Levette from the Texas Rural Broadband Coalition, and we also have James Parnell from the Dallas Police Association. And I do want to thank them for all their hard work over the past year, as was referenced a minute ago. CTF basically believes that it is critical, and it has been critical for us as stakeholders in the state of Texas to partner with Governor Abbott and policymakers to make sure that we are all rowing the boat in the same direction to get broadband. And as you heard, it was about a year ago that Governor Abbott prioritized broadband for the state of Texas. And it wasn't just words for him, it was actions that he took. For example, he used his constitutional authority to list broadband as an emergency item last session, which of course elevates it to the highest level. And he and his staff did an incredible job working with legislative leadership, the Speaker, the Lieutenant Governor, Chairman of both the House and Senate, to pass an incredibly impressive visionary package of bills that are going to get broadband to every corner of the state of Texas. And without his leadership, that could not have been done. And so, Governor Abbott, for everything that you did, everything you will continue to do, we are very honored to present you with the Connect the Future Broadband Champion Award.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you for that.
You bet.
Superintendent, thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Well, listen, Todd, thank you. Thanks to the Connect the Future Texas for this Broadband Champion Award. Listen, I appreciate what everybody is doing here at this table in this room, as well as across the entire state of Texas, to advance broadband in our state. As you pointed out, not only did I make this an emergency item, I also talked about it in my State of the State address, emphasizing to the entire state that we were committed to making sure that we would be able to deliver broadband access in our state. And the fact of the matter is, broadband access is more essential than it's ever been. In fact, it's a necessary tool for people in all different types of life. It's essential for educational purposes, like in a school we're in right now, whether it be an elementary school like this, high school, or those learning at the highest level in our top universities. It's essential for businesses that want to connect with their customers or with their suppliers. It's essential now in healthcare, where people are going to be able to access healthcare through telehealth. It's also incredibly important for emergency response and for law enforcement officers, where they can respond more swiftly and more effectively through the expansion of broadband. But most importantly, what we are accomplishing here in the state of Texas is connecting rural Texas with broadband. People who have been either unserved or underserved are finally going to be able to reap the benefits of broadband in their communities. Superintendent, as you talked last time I was here about a year ago, I told you that there were about 1 million Texans who did not have access to broadband. And that's exactly why we prioritized it this past session to fix the problem that so many people have by not having access to broadband. And I'm proud to have signed a law that dramatically expands the scope of broadband in the state of Texas to make sure we deliver it to every corner of our state. We created the Broadband Development Office to prepare a state broadband plan. That broadband plan should be provided by the state comptroller in June, here in just 2 months. We provided more than $500 million for broadband infrastructure. We created the Governor's Broadband Development Council. They monitor the progress of broadband development, they identify barriers to broadband development, and they analyze how state access to broadband benefits economic development, education, emergency preparedness, as well as healthcare delivery. So bottom line is this: no matter what corner of the state of Texas that you live in, you will soon have access to fast and reliable broadband so that your kids are going to be able to better learn, so that your businesses will better be able to thrive, so that you will be able to visit a doctor from the comfort of your own home. The future of Texas is online, and Texas will bring that future to absolutely everybody. We'll be happy to take a few questions.
Governor, during the pandemic, parents and students expressed their concern that they didn't have access and effective learning. How will these initiatives help change that?
So one thing that spurred our recognition of the need to expand broadband was kids required to learn from home during the pandemic. By passing the laws that we passed, by providing the funding that's needed, it will increase access to broadband to students, to parents, to people across the entire state of Texas.
Any more questions?
Governor, I was just going to ask, like, the timeline of things, like how soon some of these changes, people in rural areas of Texas can start to see some of these changes and this higher speed internet trying to start to take effect.
So there are 3 steps in the process. I'll tell you about 2, and I'll let Todd Baxter tell you about 1. The first step that is required is for the state to prepare and to present a plan. And that is to be done by the comptroller, and that is expected by June. And then we have to get the federal sign-off and approval of that plan. Once that plan is done, then it goes to the private sector for the build-out. I'll let Todd Baxter tell you about what the timeline looks like for that.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm happy to report that building is occurring right now, both as a result of some federal programs and as a result of the good news that we see coming from the state. So the good news is no one's waiting. Ground has been broken. The private sector is busy connecting people right now and aggressively building out broadband. And I would say that as these programs come into play and as the applications come in, it will be over the next several years where we will see a far more ubiquitous build-out for the state of Texas.
Last question?
I was going to ask the Governor, just with the amount of people that have been moving to Texas to hear about people living in Florida and Texas and some of these states from other states, just how much that plays a role in the need for better internet in some of these rural parts of the state. You could just talk about that a little bit.
Listen, the truth of the matter is, with the volume of people who are moving to the state of Texas, it creates needs across the board. First, I'll tell you this. According to the Dallas Federal Reserve, the #1 state that people are moving to is the state of Texas, and it's been that way for years. And they continue to come here because of the business environment, because of the livability of communities, because of schools like what we're in right now. But there is going to be a need to expand broadband even more. There's going to be a need to build even more schools. There will be a need to build more roadways. And because of the robust budget that the state of Texas has, we are now almost a $2 trillion economy per year. We're going to have the resources to make sure that we will be able to build out the future for the next generation as well as for those moving to the state of Texas.
Great. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.